To little Kimmy and Timmy. I hope you remember me, Timmy. You are the little man of the family now.
Dog Day Afternoon coming up next. Haven't Seen It with Tim Sestito and Tommy Tavanay. Hello, everybody. Welcome on in. Thank you all so much for listening today. This is a podcast where one of us is watching a movie for the very first time, and today that is both of us, Tommy. First time
Yeah,
dog dang afternooning it.
I'm shocked you've never seen it.
Yeah, it's one that it's always been like, yeah, I should watch that one, and then I just never watched it, and I was missing out on some some truly fantastic acting here,
Oh yeah.
carrying a very emotional bank robbery, probably the most emotional bank robbery ever put to screen. Also, I love that our new tradition now is anytime the word Timmy is mentioned in a movie we're covering, that has to be the opening.
Immediately. Like
Immediate, instantaneously, not even a question about it.
yeah. Thankfully Timmy is not mentioned as much as Tommy, so we'll see that a little sometimes occasionally.
Yeah, well, I guess we'll do that if we see a Tommy or Timmy. But I think it has to be a kind of funny one, like the one in Shoulders Soldiers, where he's like, "Shut up, Timmy!" Like that's very funny. And this
Yeah.
one where he's just like, "To little Kimmy, little Timmy, I hope you remember me." I'm like, wow, he doesn't give a shit about his daughter at all.
Yeah, yeah, immediately. He's like, fuck my daughter.
You're the little man of the family now. You're the little man of the family. In a very emotional movie. This is one of those movies that I feel like your dad told you is like, this is a great movie. Like I texted my dad, he's like, what movie are you covering? I was like, Dog Day Afternoon. He just goes, great movie, great movie.
Fuck yeah. Definitely.
It's one of those. What is your history like of knowing this movie? Did you know about Attica? Did you know about Kiss Me or any of the pop
I
culture
didn't know like
references?
almost anything except for the fact that it was based on bank robbery, and I knew that it was an Al Pacino classic and a John, what Cazale? Is that how you say it? We were just talking about this
Cazale,
earlier.
Cazale.
John Cazale classic too, and I knew that, and I knew that also they're doing a play of this that's coming up on Broadway. I think next year with John Berthenol and even Moss, whoever his fuck his name is.
I've been the guy who plays the Thing and Richie on the Bear.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I don't. I didn't Ebron Rock Moss or whatever his name is. Yeah, yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. And in a
This
way,
is
though, I could
this
see
is
this easily translate to a play.
yeah.
So,
This has stage play written all over it. Uh,
mm,
Definitely, it's like well, it was interesting reading about like the casting and stuff of this. It says directed by Sidney Lumet. Lumet and Pacino basically went through everybody who Pacino worked with when he was an off-Broadway actor before The Godfather,
mm,
and basically took all of those actors and kind of inserted them into the movie. So these are all like off-Broadway New York actors of the 70s getting their time in the sunlight, in the
mm.
spotlight.
Yeah. And we covered a Soothing Lumet movie before earlier this year, 12 Angry Men, and that
Well,
also could work greatly as a straight stage play and
I
has been.
definitely
So
yeah.
it's just like a guy who, like, in terms of his directed, I've now seen two of his movies. He just knows how to direct the fuck out of a single location, and keeps it engrossing in a way that, like, we talked before about how like older movies sometimes are static and like not cinematically shot like well at all and stuff like that. But he is definitely an exception for that, especially with 12 Already Met. So,
Yeah, and
um,
I think with this one in terms of the direction, it's like you get every angle of the bank, you get every angle of the street. I love how the movie opened. Like, what was the song at the beginning of the movie?
it was an Elton John song. I forget what exact one, but yeah, it was insane to me that the movie opened up like almost immediately after the bank robbery. I thought it was going to lead to it and it was going to be like 40 minutes in, now we're getting to bank robbery, but it was essentially like maybe 10 minutes in. All right, they're in the bank.
10 minutes in, it was the you had like 2 minutes of like the credits rolling and just like understanding what New York and Brooklyn is like. Amarina from
Marina.
John.
Yeah, Elton John. That was
It
the one.
was such
Yeah,
like
you're
a
right. It was
great.
maybe 2 or 3 minutes. They play that Elton John song. They're like, all right, we're in the bank.
We're in the bank. We see John Cazale walk in. We see Al Pacino in the car with his gift box and his thing, and getting ready to go. We're excited. I don't know if you can tell. We're very excited to get started on this one. We were gonna save this for just a couple of minutes from now. Tommy, I just want to mention this. The embargoes on one battle after another have dropped, and I am I am so excited. I like, but apparently they're not doing a Wednesday screening of it in Tennessee that I can find so far, and then I'm in Iowa on Friday, so that makes things difficult for me. I'm not gonna lie in regards to like being able to go see this movie.
Yeah. It's a little tougher for you, and I don't think there's going to be any early screenings in Connecticut by me, so we might be a little bit out of that.
Yeah, that might be our October. We might have to push that into that like last like I come home, maybe we see it Sunday night or whatever, and then we cover it in on Monday and just put it out early episode. You let us know on Twitter at Seen It Pod. You can find us on Instagram too, DM us, comment us, whatever. You could do it there. But Tommy, what movies have you watched recently? What's going on in your little head over there?
So I've been keeping up with watching the Coen brothers. I've been trying to watch a lot of their movies I have never seen before because Blank Check has been covering them. So I've been trying to get all my deep dives in. So I've watched a ton of them lately. I've watched Big Lebowski. I've watched
You never saw Big
Fargo.
Lebowski?
Well, no, no, no. I've rewatched Big Lebowski. That's not one of the ones that I haven't seen before.
What about
So
Fargo?
Fargo I've seen before. I
Okay.
rewatched that recently. I rewatched Raising Arizona, and then now I'm getting more into the weeds of like ones I haven't watched before, like Blood Simple, fantastic movie. And then the one I really wanted to talk about was Hudsucker Proxy. This is a movie from the '94. This is probably the real blank check movie. Hudsucker Proxy is basically a screwball comedy and has such great comedic zany energy that the Coens are known for, but on a big budget. It's probably one of the bigger budgets they ever worked with. And the fact that they have Tim Robbins, Jennifer Jason Leigh, and Paul Newman in their cast, and they have Bruce Campbell even coming off the bench right there, where it's just fantastic and immediately hilarious. Jennifer Jason Leigh does the perfect send up of like the transatlantic accent that you see in all those older movies right there, where she's going off. This is a movie I feel like that's like definitely obscure for the Coen brothers. I mean, when you go into like what are the like most popular Coen brothers movies, I feel like this would probably rank towards the bottom. And this bombed at the time, but I feel like it's a hidden gem that people haven't thought about in a while. But it's just like everything about it. It's basically the way to describe it is that Tim Robbins is a New York City guy who just comes to New York City after graduating college, and then he somehow gets a job for this manufacturing thing, and he soon rises up from the mailroom to being the CEO president. And he's an idiot. He's a dimwit, and it's just
The Coen
crazy.
brothers love their dimwits. They really do.
Yeah, and it just works perfectly. I mean, everything about it, it's just perfectly like 1930s, 1940s screwball comedy, and they matched the tone perfectly right there. It
So
was really fun. It was a
it's
hidden
really like
surprise.
It's really Marx Brother influenced.
Yeah, yeah, it's not really as slapsticky, but it's more so just like in terms of like the zany energy that all the actors are going off of. Where and there's some stuff where throughout the movie, Tim Robbins has this great big idea that's just a circle, and all he says is, for kids. And everyone's like, "What the hell are you talking about, dude?" And it turns out that eventually Tim Robbins is talking about the hula hoop, and he keeps on saying that, like, for kids, and that's the tagline he tries to sell the company on, and he tries to sell everyone on the hula hoop, and then eventually the hula hoop, and there's just a 5 minute scene of Tim Robbins pitching the hula hoop while he's doing the hula hoop himself the whole time. It's just like, what am I watching in the greatest way possible?
It sounds good. Sounds like we haven't covered many Coen. I don't, have we even covered a Coen brother?
I don't think
Coen?
we have.
That's a mistake we should rectify in November. Have you seen No Country for Old Men?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
I've seen all the bigger Cohen ones.
I've
So
also seen all the bigger Coen ones. We could do like Miller Crossing or something like that.
yeah, that one
Burn
is one I'm
After
going to
Reading,
get around to.
Burn After Reading
Uh,
would be another good one.
yeah, I've seen that. So, but still, fantastic directors. It sucks that they're kind of separated at this point because it seems like I haven't seen any of their more recent movies, but it does seem like the magic's not really there as much as it used to be.
Yeah, I was kind of excited for Honey Don't, and then all the reviews came in and they were just like, yeah, this movie sucks. And that was Ethan Cohen just on his own. And it seems like the magic that they had was like working together because it feels like since they've gone and worked solo now, the filmography, like they're not making these hit classics. Like the last Coen Brother movie was Hail Caesar 9 years ago.
That's wild to think that's been that long. So I mean, like, there's been three movies by in total that they made since like separated. Joel did the Tragedy Macbeth, which I haven't seen, and then Ethan did, like you said, Honey Don't, and he also did um Jar of
So
White Dolls.
yeah.
So, and it seems like there's a little bit of magic lost. So I mean, it'd be great if they come back together. I'm sure they'll eventually come back together, but it's
I
just
don't,
like a
it's weird because there's no like insight either into like as to like why they decided to stop working too. There's no like leaks, there's
well,
no story of
it
it.
doesn't seem like bad blood or anything like that. I think they just like kind of were creatively like, okay, let's try to do something different. And one thing about the Hudsucker Proxy also I want to shout out is that it was co-written by Sam Raimi, and Sam Raimi did all the second unit directing work on it.
Well,
So
that makes sense how Bruce Campbell got involved into that production.
yeah, it's the one. I think the only time Bruce Campbell's really been in a Coen Brothers movie, which is insane. There's a fun fact about the Coen Brothers and Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell was that in the mid '80s in like Michigan or something like that, Sam Raimi, uh, Joel and Ethan Cohen, Bruce Campbell, Frances McDormand, and Kathy Bates all lived in a fucking like house together in the '80s together in like Michigan, just as like struggling actors and directors and writers and stuff like that, like figuring their stuff out.
And in
Apparently, they
and
all
in
hated
Michigan.
yeah, and they all hated Kathy Bates because she didn't want to do the dishes. So that's why she's never been in any Coen Brothers movie or any Sam Raimi movie. So it's really interesting to see like why it's going off. Because Joe Cohen got to start off the Evil Dead. He was assistant editor on that movie.
That's right. That's right. He was. Yeah, that's I remember when I first watched The Evil Dead and I just see his name pop up there. I was like, is that is that who I think that? Yeah. Oh, well, okay. Yeah. Um, Tommy, I have a couple options I can go with here. Um, have you ever seen Get Shorty?
Yes, I have.
Okay, so then I'll talk about Get Shorty since we can't do a full podcast on it. What a movie that would be a full podcast on, though. I just watched Get Shorty for the first time. It was on HBO. I was like, this looks like fun. And it was John Travolta, Gene Hackman, Rene Russo, James Gandolfini, Danny DeVito, Dennis Farina, Delroy Lindo, like such an energetic cast about like mobsters, and it's almost like a parody of a mobster movie because like crime movies were so in the 90s.
Mhm.
And then you just have this one that's just kind of making a farce of the whole thing, and just kind of exposing Hollywood a little bit too, being like, oh, this is kind of run like a crime syndicate, huh? I just moved out here 2 days ago. Yeah, I could be a producer. Yeah, no problem. Easy peasy. Not a worry in the world.
Immediately. It
Immediately.
is a it is a movie I would like to cover. I mean, you could just fucking say like 2 or 3 months from now, fuck it. But because I haven't seen it since high school, but it's interesting that that was like John Travolta's immediate follow-up to Pulp Fiction. It's like, all right, I'm back in the Hollywood limelight. Look who's talking's right past me. Like, I don't have to worry about that shit anymore. I don't need about talking babies. Let's do Get Shorty, and it really hits. I remember Gene Hackman being hilarious in that movie too. So
Gene Hackman was fantastic. Danny DeVito in like a small, but he's huge at this time. But he's hilarious in this as an stuck up actor. Um, yeah, I would definitely be down to cover this one in depth. So I won't go into it too much here, but really fun movie. Then I'll just discuss Austin Powers. We've never discussed
yeah,
Austin Powers on this podcast before. I got I went to McKay's used books and movies, and I got the trilogy in Blu-ray set because it was cheaper than renting all three of them. I've
yeah.
watched two of them, Austin Powers, International Man of Mystery, and The Spy Who Shagged Me. My girlfriend had never seen them before, so I was like, okay, we have to watch these. These are,
Did she live in the '90s? Because it feels impossible to live in the '90s and not see those.
it was born in the mid 90s, so just a little bit outside, and she was the oldest, so just kind of a little bit out of the realm of that and
Yeah.
of that one coming out. Like she was 4 when the Spy Who Shagged Me came out. So just like a little bit out of her window of consciousness, I would say.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Advantage of being the youngest.
I always forget how funny those movies are, man. Like they are
Mhm.
just so like I know Mike Myers is notoriously a gigantic asshole to work for because he's such like a meticulous prick on set. But he is so funny, and it's such a good parody of James Bond and like spy thrillers in general, and just taking the corniness of them and turning them into jokes and using they use so much of that like Naked Gun kind of humor too, that airplane style of humor,
Mhm.
the play on
Eh,
words, the prop humor, like they use all of that so effectively there. Those first two are just like tour de force of comedy. They're so good.
I think even the third one is good. I mean, I bought that Blu-ray box set last year too, and I only watched the first one since. But I remember like just everything about it, even like the Tom Arnold cameo when like Arnold's like when Austin's rather trying to like attack the guy in the bathroom. He's like,
Yeah.
"Come on, man, you got to push through." It's so stupid,
Dude,
like crass
and
humor, but it
And
works. And
my girlfriend does not find that kind of humor funny, but she was dying
yeah,
at that scene because it's crass, but it's not like when you know what's going on there, it's actually not that crass because the man's fighting for his life.
yeah, exactly. It's more of like a misdirection or something like that, where
Who
you
does
think one
number
thing.
two work for? That's right, buddy. You show that boss you turned who's boss.
How about a cursing flush there, buddy?
That sounds like a big one. How about a courtesy flush?
Yeah. Fantastic. I mean, it's one of those things that like it's always interesting seeing those like comedies in the 90s where you see like, oh shit, Will Ferrell's in this for like a hot second.
He's in both of them.
Yeah, he's both in the first two.
I feel
So
like they brought his character back because they were like, oh yeah, Will Ferrell's star is rising. Let's write him into a scene here just so that way we can say Will Ferrell's in the movie. Um,
mhm,
yeah, but they're so charming. They're heartful too. Like they're full of heart. They're really just great. I love Basil Exposition too, just as a character.
mhm.
Just like this is Basil Exposition, and I'm about to give you the exposition now. That's it's such a great like it's just such a great joke for a name, like something I didn't pick up as a kid, but now as an adult, you're like, oh, that's a good joke. I
Yeah.
agree. So yeah, that is what we covered, but this is Dog Day Afternoon.
How about letting the people have the bank?
They're keeping me alive. I'm going to let him out.
Al Pacino, Dog Day Afternoon, a true story.
But there's a way out of this thing. I'm telling you, there's a way out.
Hello, Sonny. You're on the air.
We're entertainment, right? What do you got for us?
I can't stand you being a bankrupt, Sonny.
The most you're going to get is 5 years. You get out in 1 year, huh?
Kiss me.
Dog Day Afternoon, rated R.
Now playing at a flagship theater near you.
It's Dog Day Afternoon, 1975 American biographical crime drama directed by Sidney Lumet, starring Al Pacino, John Cazale, James Broderick, and Charles Durning. Screenplay written by Frank K. Pearson and is based off the Life magazine article "The Boys in the Bank." Uh, this is based off of the 1972 robbery and hostage situation led by the real John Wojciech and Salvatore Naturale at a Chase Manhattan branch in Brooklyn. I love how in the trailer, because this is 1975, so they're not going to they're not going to market in the movie that there's homosexuals in the movie, but like they have the his ex-wife crying on the phone being like, I can't take you being a bank robber. It's like, oh, that's the guy's wife. Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
it's like, no, that's his estranged wife. That is
Yeah.
not who that's that's not his wife, but that's how they would
Uh,
market the movie
it's
back
it's
then.
one thing I wish I was able to make work out, but this month in Fairfield, so not that far away from me, a theater is doing a screening of this with Chris Sarandon, the guy who played Leon,
Is it
in
the
attendance.
Prospect Theater?
No, it's a new theater called like the Schubert Community or Sacred Heart Community Theater or something like that. I
Oh,
saw
cool.
Beverly Hills Cop there recently. But anyways, Chris Rendon was great in that whole role as like Leon's wife. And I mostly know him as a horror guy because he was in the first Chucky movie. He was
Yeah.
also in Fright Night as the Dracula type character in that movie, which we'll have to cover Fright Night at some point. That's a fun one. But it was kind of shocking to see like a 70s movie touch upon that subject and with like such grace and not like
Yeah.
immediate making fun of like the situation of what Al Pacino
I,
was in.
I do think it's when we talk about it, it's like, oh, they were always punching down and like on the homosexual community, the trans, and especially 1975, like you think homosexuality was taboo, like transgender is like unheard of to these people,
Mhm.
to people in everyday society here. Yeah, it is really handled with care. It's handled with a really nice touch that's not punching down on people.
At
And
the same point, though, you have that one police officer who, like, when he is talking, when Chris Ren is talking about what he is, the guy just chuckles immediately
yeah,
and just
and
like
then
cuts it down.
Durning's character, the police detective, like glares at him like, "What are you do like? This is not the time to have this conversation, dude. Like, what are we doing here?"
Mhm.
But so this movie going into it, it's really interesting how you're kind of brought into this with no context, right? Like you're
Mhm.
just open on them outside of the bank, and Sal walks in. This kid Stevie's also with him, who has a gun, but he's out of there quite quick. Um, and like for me, like especially having seen other bank robbery movies and stuff, they're usually pretty organized, pretty ruthless. These guys are not coming off that way when the robbery starts. They're just kind of trip like it starts with Stevie they're like, hold the guard hostage, and he's just looking at him, and then he says, Sonny, I can't do it, man. And they're like using their real names. They have no masks on or anything, and it's just like, oh, so these are amateurs, true amateurs trying to rob a bank right now. And like and there's just like a weird mix of tension and humor in the opening of this movie as it's starting, and you're just like, okay, are they gonna get away? Like, what is happening here? Like, they've been in this bank for a robbery for way too long.
Mhm. Yeah, immediately it's you wonder like what's going to happen and like I was almost worried for a second when I realized that the bank robbery was starting immediately because I was like, okay, where's it going to go from here? Because like I would have figured that would have been like more towards like I think of like so many classic bank robbery movies like The Town or something like that, where the big heist is the thing in the end of the movie. Whereas this just takes place right within there, and it works throughout, and like you're captivated throughout. I think that, like you said, like it was very interesting to see like how they weren't like big tough guys, and even like it felt like the all the hostages for the most part weren't like terrified of these people. They
No,
weren't like cowering in fear. They were mostly like, they're shooting the shit with them, like talking about how like I want a cigarette now or something like that, or like they're getting pizza and it's almost like they're having a pizza party. It's a very interesting angle. I mean, I guess that's probably more true to what happened in real life, but still, it's like you'd almost expect like a typical like, oh my God, please don't kill me, and then like carrying through the whole time.
well, I think, and to your point about like classic bank robbery movies, right? They are structured that way. You know what the stakes are for the characters, what they need, why they're taking on such a gigantic risk. Boom, there we go. This eliminates that.
Yeah,
This is like, why did they do this, and why do they suck at this so bad?
yeah.
Because they get in there and they had their information wrong, and the daily cash pickup had already happened. There's only $1,100 in cash at the bank, and I don't care what year it is. If you're robbing a bank and they only have $1,100, you failed as a bank robber. That's not worth robbing a bank for. That's not enough money.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Not even remotely. And Sonny is taking these bank traveler checks and then tries to like burn them and the receipts in the trash can with smoke coming out of the air vents, and people across the street notice, and police come, and boom, all of a sudden you just And I love how Lumet cuts that because it's so like tight and tense, and we're really just in the bank, and we're kind of seeing the bank from all angles, right? Like cameras moving around, like you're seeing the all the characters in the bank sort of realize like, oh, these guys are sloppy. These guys are not like I'm not truly in danger. I think with Sal they were truly in danger, but we'll touch into that more. But they're
Yeah.
and then it cuts and we're just getting helicopters coming in. We're seeing police cars. We're seeing cops with snipers on the roof. We're seeing the back of it being blocked off of the bank there, and it's just that they are fully surrounded. We see the media start rolling in here, and it's like, oh
Like you almost think the movie's gonna be over like immediately
yeah,
within that. And to touch upon your point, real quick on in terms of like inflation, $11,000 today is like $85,000, which
1,100, Tommy, not 11,000, $1,100.
1,100. So yeah, even then, real quick on the inflation calculator, that's $8,000 today. So that's
Well, Tommy, yeah,
nothing.
you put an extra zero there. You could have just dropped.
Yeah, yeah. So.
You could have just dropped the zero there. But I digress. But they
But regardless, yeah, it's just like immediately when you get into it, I like that like there's like so many different angles of this. Chris Durning is fantastic. I didn't know who this actor was before really watching Hudsucker Proxy earlier this week because he's in that movie too
is he?
as a pivotal part. So it's funny that it connected. I've had back-to-back Charles Durning screen. He's like essentially the CEO of the company in the beginning of the movie of Hudsucker. But anyways, in this movie, he's fantastic as the chief. I wasn't sure if it was Brian Dennehy at first or not because it definitely seemed like a role Brian Denny would have played like 10 years later.
Definitely.
um, but he just had such great charisma to him where like I just love the interplay between him and Al Pacino and just like great like back and forth over and over again. And it definitely felt like once like he took a little bit of a back seat to the negotiation process, I felt like I was definitely missing him a lot. That's
Yeah, compared to James Broderick as the FBI director,
yeah.
who was just like,
He was
I
good,
am
but
the
he was
man
like
in charge now.
yeah, yeah. But he didn't add as much like flavor to the movie as Charles Durning did, I felt like.
No. So, okay, so this happened on 450 Avenue P on August 22nd, 1972, hence Dog Day afternoon, Dog Days of Summer. Robbers aim to take 150 to 200,000, equivalent to 1.5 million in 2024, that they expected to be delivered at 3:30 that afternoon by an armored truck. According to Wojciech, a Chase Manhattan executive that he met at a gay bar in Greenwich Village tipped him off. They entered the bank at 3 to discover that the armored truck had instead taken the money away at 11 a.m. The robbers took 29,000, equivalent to 218, still not enough to rob a bank, that were available. Um, so Robert West, there was another guy, Robert Westenberg, who was successful. He got away, but Wojciech and Natural were left behind. Um, and including, releasing his girlfriend from the hospital, bringing the hostages food, all of this stuff. This is based off of the Life article that was written about it, detailing the entire events and like how there was like the fraternization was a true part of this. Um, so when they were doing this and like the early part of the development, the authors compared Wojciech's appearance to that of Dustin Hoffman or Al Pacino. The feature caught the attention of producer Martin Elfland. He took it to Martin Bregman, who piked the interest of Warner Brothers, and then they interviewed the people behind the story and went into the script kind of doing that.
Yeah. Apparently, Al Pacino told like Cinema Met near the start of production he couldn't play it because he just did Godfather 2. He was exhausted and like depressed after that shoot, and because of Al Pacino has to be the whole method acting thing, he was like, I don't know if I could like get myself up to the state of hysteria every day. So Cinema Met was like, okay, and then he was sent the script to Dustin Hoffman, thinking, all right, I'll get Dustin Hoffman instead. And then once he Dustin Hoffman was considered, Pacino heard about it. He's like, no, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. And Pacino, like, he definitely put himself through the ringer of like, doing the method acting thing. Where sometimes, what's the famous thing of Lawrence Olivier? It's like, have you tried acting? But during Pacino, He only slept for a couple hours at night. He ate sparingly. He would sometimes take like cold showers just to get into that disheveled, exhausted, and like wired experience that his character is supposed to have. And it is interesting because like you think that like with Pacino, a lot of the movies we covered, for example, we were talking earlier in the pod how like we've covered a lot of Pacino blind spots for me, all the big ones like Godfather, Godfather 2, Heat. Never really seen any of those movies before we started this pod. This is another one, but usually in those movies he's a tough guy or he's a fucking like crazy
Well, so Godfather 1 and 2, it's a really buttoned up Pacino.
mm.
And then
But he slowly gets there. But then you get Scarface and
but
Heat.
he slowly gets there, but he's not like him as a performer, he's still very buttoned up. He hasn't gone into his full hoo-wah, scent of a woman Pacino. He's just kind of he's still reining that in. And when they go from that, and this is like the first sign of it, of like this bigger bombastic Pacino, especially, and I would argue the most famous scene in the movie when he time he goes outside and negotiates with the with Moretti, Charles Durning's character, and he starts riling up the crowd with Attica, Attica. And if you don't know what Attica is, they were prison riots in 1971. They had to do with the prisoners took over the guards. They were treated like shit. They were abused. They were not happy in that situation, and he's trying to use that as a way of stating where he is. And it's when we're watching it in the movie, we're like, we still don't know why they're doing this.
Yeah.
We only find that out an hour into the movie.
Mm.
We go on for a while without it. That Attica scene was also improvised by Pacino. That wasn't in the script. When he was
And it's
up there.
fantastic.
It's so good.
Apparently the Met's not a guy that likes the improvisation, but like he felt for this movie, it makes a little more sense. Like just improv a little bit because it probably helps with the camaraderie too of like the whole characters in the bank.
Oh yeah. And John Cazale, who's Sal, his partner in crime through this whole movie that's stuck with him there. It's a very it's an extremely nuanced performance of watching a man teetering on the edge. Because, they're making, Pacino's making empty threats at the beginning of this when they're first in touch with the police through the phone and stuff like that, being like, I'll lie these people out and throw them on the streets. And Cazale goes to him and just goes, Sonny, are we really gonna do that? And you're just like, oh, like, well, how's he feeling? Like, what's he feeling about that? And Pacino's like, no, of course not. We got to tell them that's what we're gonna do so we can get out of this situation. He's like, well, I'm feeling like I'm ready to do this. Like, I'm ready. He's just this guy that's like teetering back and forth and on the edge. And it's interesting with Sonny, we have no context as to why his character is there.
Mhm.
We have
Yeah. We're not giving a lot about Rosell, and I do like the one scene though of James Broderick when he goes inside and he immediately like assesses the situation. He immediately is like, "Sonny, respect what you're doing. There a lot of other people would be dead, but like, watch out about that Sal guy over there." And he immediately knows like this guy's a loose cannon right here.
this
like
well, and it's interesting too because when we look back at the first time we see his ex-wife and she's when she's talking with police and she's like, yeah, he was threatening me. We were down at Cody Island. He was threatening me. He's put a gun to my head. He was threatening the kids, whatever. He was never like this before, but then all of a sudden he started running with a bad crowd. Like that's the only example that we get of
Mhm.
who Sonny is. It's just or Sal is. Sonny has started running with a bad crowd, and that is Sal. That is him. That is that crowd anticipated, and it could also be shown as the homosexual community because we also get to see briefly his family reacting to the news on the TV. The father is Dominic Chinese, that is Uncle Junior from The Sopranos.
he's still kicking.
He's still, yeah, he's alive in his 90s. He is still kicking. Jerry Adler, who plays Hesh from The Sopranos, just passed, R.I.P. But he's just like, that's no son of mine. Especially as the stories start to move. He's like, and the mother's, why didn't you come to me if he needs the money? I would have just given him the money. Why did he have to do this? Why did he have to rob a bank? Um, and but going
What
back to Cazale,
what's great is his reaction to that is like that, like he immediately is like so hung up on the fact that they said there's two homosexuals in there, and that he is just like immediately like when James Broderick comes in, he's like, can you tell the TV to like tell him there's only one homosexual in there, not two? He's like really upset about that over and over again. It's the one thing that works him up, not the fact that he's on TV as a bank robber and like he's probably gonna like end of life. It's the one thing he cares about, his ego right there in that one moment where he's just like really wants the world to know, hey, I'm not gay.
yeah, I'm not gay. I'm just here for money, dude. Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
but I
As
think,
many men have said.
yeah, dude, I'm not gay. But
I'm
twenty
just here for
dollars
money.
is 20. I'm not gay, but $20 is $20, dude. Um, I yeah, and but like I really loved this performance from him, and it's one where I think you could watch it and go, oh, he's kind of underutilized here,
Mhm.
and I just I disagree here because you're seeing Sonny, Al Pacino, the lead of the movie, just grunting the weight of trying to make every single decision on his own, and Sal, who is he's close. He is he's close, man. He is ready to pop off. He's ready to go out. Thelma and Luis, he's ready to go out guns blazing and just leave a path of glory behind him. Like that is where
Mhm.
he currently is. He is rocking, he's on the edge, and it's just that gradual increase where we kind of start off in the movie and he seems to be pretty in control of himself, but quickly we see him devolve. And
Well, it's great casting too, because apparently the guy who Cavalli. I'm gonna mess it
Devolve.
up if that Cavalli. Whatever. But I'm gonna mess it up throughout. I'm not gonna remember. But that he like apparently the guy who's playing in real life was like 18 at the time, and Lumet was like, he's too old. Like we can't do this. And like he auditioned, and Lumet was like, all right, I understand why Pacino wants this guy. Like he's in, and it's not what you think like of like the typical like loose cannon type guy. Because I don't know. I'm curious to see like when they're doing this Broadway play which guy's gonna be which because John Berthodal first of all feels like way too gruff for this type of movie in a way where it's like
I,
immediately
so,
this guy probably robbed robberies before.
so that's the one thing, right? Is like Pacino's vulnerability here and just like the facade of what he's trying to put up in front of the police and to the audience and getting, the crowd around him on his side versus like when he's in that bank alone and he's just kind of breaking here. And then
Mm,
when you learn the reason why, because he married his boyfriend who then went to a therapist, found out he's a woman trapped in a man's body and he needs a gender reversal surgery, which is $2,500. And they don't have that kind of money. So his only option is to go into the hospital to get it.
mm.
And that relationship has been fractured for a while, right? Like she was in the hospital. She tried to kill herself because Sonny had been so terrible to her. And she really doesn't want anything to do with Sonny, but still he feels like it's his responsibility to try to take care of her, and it's a very interesting dynamic of this character,
Mm.
and
Yeah, you wouldn't expect it at
it's
all because
it's really hard to make you root for the bank robber immediately. And I know this was the era of the anti-hero, but I do think that this is like that is core to like as the movie progresses and you go, "Okay, why?" Because that like that's the one thing I just kept asking was why? And once we get that and all those information are filled, it's right there um,
I
for
mean you can definitely see why this movie won the best screenplay. This was written by Frank Pearson. Trying to think of other movies he wrote real quick off the top of my head. I mean, he also wrote nothing really crazy. He wrote some episodes of Mad Men, apparently.
Nice.
So, and he also wrote like The Star Is Born with what's her name, Barbara
Barbara
Streisand.
Streisand. That was on
Um,
the in the did you notice that in the opening on one of the marquees that they cut
oh
by
yeah, yeah, yeah. I did see
born
that.
is on there.
Yeah, and then Cool Hand Luke he also wrote. So this guy definitely got around the block a lot. But this is really like a key example of a screenplay where you don't need to reveal everything up front. Like you can just slowly reveal out things. Like you can reveal motivations as they go on in a type of genre picture like this, in like a bank robbery movie. You don't need them immediately being like, yeah. So you don't need Pacino walking in and be like, yeah. So I need the workout for this or something like that, or like I need the operation for this. Instead, it's much more dramatically revealed when it's like that, and it's also interesting to see like the whole mob crowd around them, the like whole frenzy that happens around them. They become pretty much become like local celebrities, and like even when these things are revealed, like when it's eventually revealed that he has the whole relationship with Chris Sarandon's character, yet you hear some characters, and this is a great thing behind the subtitles on. You hear some characters shout like, oh, like is he queer now or something like that? Is he queer?
Yeah.
And he tells the FBI agent at one point, like, "Hey, but you better make sure he doesn't kiss you, man," or something like that. You random hecklers are going out and that. Then, like, basically the reaction of people figuring out all the stuff about the character as we, the audience, are. And I'm sure even back in the '70s, people are like, "Oh, what the fuck? Pacino's playing a queer?" And I feel like that's definitely what the '70s audience was was like at the time.
Yeah, well, I can't really comment on what a 1970s audience was like. I mean, and this is set in 1972. I thought the more interesting thing is like this is the post-hippie age where there's still that real distrust of authority and the fact that everybody around them is on their side. Everybody
Mhm.
who's not a cop is is rooting for them, and it's such like a it's such an interesting dynamic because it's almost to me it's one of the things that keeps Sonny grounded in this movie. Like what
Mhm.
keeps him from snapping is he's getting that audience feedback, he's getting that love and support, and he's just like, okay, yeah, okay. And then he can kind of go back in and just use that energy. But it's so interesting because like you're right where people are like, oh, we're celebrities now. Like when the pizza guy drops off the pizza and the Cokes and Pacino starts throwing the money around and Pacino finally goes back in with all the food. He's just like, yeah, I'm a celebrity. I'm gonna be on TV. Woo! Like people are viewing this as a way to like be on TV for a couple minutes.
And
And
it
they're
is funny
off
also.
TV trapped in a bank.
Yeah, it is also funny, like the people within inside the bank themselves, like all the different tellers and stuff like that. How like amazed they are in the one scene where like they could see Pacino like being talked to on the phone by the reporter, and the camera's right there, and you can see some of the tellers just kind of squeeze in a little bit just to get a little bit more in. Like, oh,
Yeah.
look, we're on TV. Oh my God, like, she was just on TV right there. And there's just such great little moments of like seeing Carol Kane pop up as one of the tellers was great as the squirrely one.
Yeah.
And just within that right there, and even the fact that we have Lance Henriksen, Bishop from Aliens, in this B movie legend as like the FBI agent at the end of the movie that drives him. Fantastic. He was a great little scene performance. I didn't realize he was acting in the '70s like that, but still.
But I wanted to talk about the just quickly touch upon the bank crowd as they're covered in the cast in the credits afterwards. But they give the movie such life as it continues because it's not just two guys with a gun in their face and everybody's just cowering with their hands above their heads, right? Like how you've seen it before. Like at one point, one of the girls is holding Sonny's gun and doing like marching routines with it.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And so he doesn't care. He's like, ah, sure, whatever.
Yeah, he doesn't care. Like and I think that's part of the Sal character because he's just like so quiet. He's just lurking there, holding that gun.
Mhm.
And as the building loses the air conditioning and the sweat starts to come in, and then the lights go off and they're just getting more like they're just getting revolting. Like I loved how that looked. That looked so good on the screen.
Mhm.
Just like you can see them physically just degrading and melting down, and it's just kind of gross.
Especially
And
now that we're getting more and more HD footage where we can see like literally like the individual beads of sweat on these characters.
yeah,
You just see like how much is getting them down. And Cavalli's look is in this is fantastic of just like the weird like hairstyle he has going on for him, especially as he gets sweatier in his forehead. They can really see it in there.
so John Cazale, The Godfather,
Yeah.
Fredo's the first feature film he's ever been in. The Conversation, The Godfather Part 2, Dog Day Afternoon, and The Deer Hunter. And then he dies of lung cancer.
Yeah.
But he's 5 for 5 right there. He is in
Yeah,
5 Academy Award nominated films. And
literally. Like they've all been nominated for Best Picture, I'm pretty sure. Correct me if
they're
I'm
all
wrong.
nominated for Best Picture, and I'm pretty sure the deer and 3 of them won. The Deer Hunter and both Godfathers.
Yeah. So right there, I mean, like this guy, it's a real shame that he died so early. He was also in a relationship with Meryl Streep at the time when he passed away. But it's like what have been his future roles? What would he been a leading man? Like it really feels like we were like cut short of such a great career.
So I feel like we were cut short of maybe the greatest character actor of all time. I don't think he's ever a lead, but I think he's just a perfect character
He
actor.
would have showed up like a cop in like random thrills in the 90s, I'm sure, and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
he would have been great. He would have been great, and he has so much like he's able to showcase so much emotion on his face. And he came from off Broadway. He was friends with Pacino when they were coming up together. He stayed on Broadway pretty much. He was on one episode of NYPD in 1968. I bet you knew that was a show, Tommy. And yeah, like that's it for his filmography. So he was really a theatrical performer on the stage, and then was really starting to get into these major films. And it's one of the greatest 5 film runs ever.
Yeah, I mean, easily the best career of like almost anyone in Hollywood. You could say that. I mean, at least in terms of like quality over quantity.
Yes, easily, easily. But I wanted to mention that. So Sonny's demands, and I feel like this happens in all negotiation movies, is that they're just like, we're going to get away and you're going to take us away.
Mm.
Like, so he wants to board a jet to go to Algeria, of all places, because, naturally, if you're running away, you go to Algeria.
Mm.
And um, what did you think about Sonny's plan? Like
It seemed like they were
before
just oh, I'll go. That's sorry. It definitely seemed like it was just like a like flying immediately. Like okay, like fuck, like let's just throw shit at the wall and see what sticks. Let's go out of the country. Let's do this. Let's do this. It was never going to work out. The FBI was definitely going to find a way to get them like busted at the end of the movie like they did. And it just seemed like a moment of desperation. We're like, fuck, like how do you do this? It reminds me of like I love the tagline for this poster. It says the robbery should have taken 10 minutes. 4 hours later, the bank was like a circus sideshow. 8 hours later, it was the hottest thing on live TV. 12 hours later, it was history, and it's all true. So the fact that like immediately in this movie, like they expected to like go in and get out, and it just went downhill from there. And the fact that at the point where like they're trying to negotiate, they did not think they're going to get into a whole hostage situation whatsoever. They had no idea what they were getting themselves into. These are
no,
not like these are not professional bank robbers. This is not Robert De Niro in Heat whatsoever. These are guys that literally just like fuck, like they're desperate. They want to get in this and like wait, shit, this is way more complicated than we thought it was going to be.
100%. And it's that degrading when then that the limo comes up with a delightful performance by a New York stage actor there who's trying to
Yeah,
pretend like he's not a cop.
Dick Anthony Williams.
Dick Anthony Williams, yeah. And Pacino, they're exploring the car, looking at everything and he's going, okay, are you? And he says one line to him being like, I want him to drive. He's like, okay, man, well, you better shoot that white flesh instead of the black. And he just looks at him and goes, all right, pig, enough. It gets the other FBI agent to do the driving. And I love how they're like they come out of the bank, they're all huddled up back to back, arms locked, like it's so it's so over the top and so dramatic. And you got to remember, in the movie, this is for $1,100, by the way.
Yeah, yeah. At the end of the day, it's like this is all over like such small scale. We've actually seen Dick Anthony Williams in our movie we've covered. Want to know if you could take a guess? It's a total shot in the dark.
Uh, how recent?
I'll give you a hint. It was in the 90s.
No, how recently did we cover it?
Oh, like a year ago.
Oh, dang.
All right. He was the officer that arrested Edward Scissorhands at Edward Scissorhands.
Oh, yeah, no, that was like 2 years ago, dude. There's no shot. I was
There's no
there's
chance you're getting that
zero
one.
0% chance I was getting that one.
Yeah, yeah. So regardless of a great little character performance, like I said, this movie is just chock full of great stuff. And this is a movie that, like, I hate to say this, but like if it was remade, yeah, not just as a Broadway play, but like if it was remade, I can imagine you can fill in so many great moments for character actors right here. This is a character actor heaven movie, I feel like.
Yeah, and it's a movie, just, leave it alone. If you're gonna do remakes, remake movies that could be better. Like I just don't think you could do this better. But it's
Yeah.
just it's all these character actors that are lined up around here that just make that street, that make P Street, P Avenue feel so alive. And
Well,
just
one great thing is the locations in this movie. Sidney Lumet himself, like usually in a movie like this, like there's only three sets really: the bank, the outside the bank, and the barber shop. And in a lot of movies, it'll just be like, okay, so you're gonna be outside, you're gonna walk in, then we're gonna cut away because then the inside is a set.
yeah.
And Sidney Lumet did not want that. He wanted realistic continuity. So, for example, in this movie, you see a character enter the bank from the street, they're really doing so. They're walking, not like walking through a location or something like that. Lamette found a block of a Brooklyn street that basically suited his purpose of what he wanted to do, and it had a vacant warehouse that could be turned into a bank, and pretty much he just like built that out in a way and it really feels lived in a way. It
Oh
feels like a
yeah.
legit like New York City block, and it feels like a legit bank too. We're like, oh shit! So it really adds into that, and that's a
Frankie's
great.
Tavern's on the corner over there. Like it's got the hallmarks of a 1970s Brooklyn street right there.
Literally, yeah, and it's really like a testament to the best direction though. Like you don't feel that like immediate like, oh, we're in a set right here type moment.
So the ending, Tommy. They're driving away. They're finally making their break. What did you think of the characters' fates? Was it obvious to you? Did you think for even a moment they could maybe get away with it?
I thought for sure they're both gonna die, so I'm shocked that one of them lived to begin with.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's not shocking that the of the two of them that did die, it wasn't Pacino.
No, it
So,
was Sal.
yeah, it was Sal right there. So, but like also just a great like quick moment where like it's over so quickly that you don't even know what happened. You're like, wait, what?
Yeah, it's
And I had to rewind for a second
well,
just to like
the
process what I
FBI
saw.
the FBI driver opens the side handle with a pistol in there. The director comes in, just pulls it out and just shoots him before he has a chance. Because this is where Sal is on edge, right? Like he's like, "Hey Sal, can you point that gun up? Because if you hit a bump, I'm going to die." And he mentions that to him like 3 times. And the FBI has pegged. We mentioned it before. The FBI has pegged this guy as like we can work with Sonny. Like we can get done with it. Like he's whatever. Sal, this guy could just open fire. And they shoot him with all the hostages in the car too, which is just crazy. And you just watch Pacino watching his friend get taken away there, and just like the failure, like watching that all just encompass on his face is just tremendous acting as the camera pans out and the movie ends. And it's just like we get the real life thing that Sonny's in jail. His ex-wife lives on welfare with his children, and the girlfriend is now a woman living in New York City.
Yeah.
Made a transition. Like very brief, and it just ends. And you just like I had after the movie, I had to sit there and just like resonate for like 5 minutes of just like processing everything that I watched. For me, this feels like a rewatchable. Like I feel like there's a lot of subtleties, like just us discussing it, that I didn't piece together like while I was watching it, but I feel like there's a lot of hints as to what's going to happen written in that screenplay, and it makes me excited to watch this movie again.
I could definitely see this being rewatchable. It definitely flows well. I mean, it's a 2 hour movie, but it doesn't feel
It,
any bit of length whatsoever.
mm,
It just flows very well. And like, I feel like for a movie that essentially is one location, again, Sidney Lumet feels like the master of essentially bottle episodes as a movie.
I am a star. I'm a star, I'm a star, I'm a star. I am a big, bright, shining star.
all right, Tommy, who's the star of the movie? Who gave the best performances in a movie full of great performances?
Yeah, literally, this is a tough one to make out. I mean, Pacino is fantastic. I mean, it's really like a more quieter role than like he has been known for, at least his later years right here. But I think he's fantastic in this, and it's just
It's a tour
really
de force performance.
yeah, tour de force performance for him. But I do also have to shout out Charles Durning, who, like I said, I feel like the movie lost a little bit.
It lost a little bit of
But
character. It lost that like New York 1970s detective cop there.
yeah, and he
It's
plays
like
it just well. The way he's like cursing out everyone, "Hey, put your fucking gun away! Put your fucking gun away!" He's just like getting so pissed off as trigger happy cops he's taking care of and everything like that. It's really added to it, and like as even though I still love the movie, I think this is gonna be a banger for me. Great score for me. I do feel like I lost a little bit once we got transitioned to the FBI director. So there's that. But also Chris Sarandon, he was nominated for a Best Supporting Actor for this role, and it really is a role that could have been easily a caricature and just like would have played awful if like this is the rewatchables would have been like what aged the worst, and it was like random guy who played like the Chris Sarandon role, but wasn't Chris Sarandon or something like that. But instead, it's a very thoughtful performance who really cares about the character, and you really see
yeah,
the character is like on edge himself, where he's just like, I'm surrounded by all these cops. I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I don't know what you
I don't
are.
even like you anymore. Like, what is going on here? Like, why am I here? Like, yeah, you got me out of the hospital. And that moment, that phone call that they have, him and Pacino, it's just such a great back and forth of just finally, it's that final release of like understanding everything that's going on between the two characters, and we get to go along for the ride of just like a truly great dramatic performance here. For me, it's Al Pacino though. Like
Yeah,
the Sonny character has to carry the entire movie. Like the entire thing revolves around him. And I mean, John Cazale, we spend enough time talking about him, but he's so good. Like literally, there's no bad performances in this. Everybody is doing their part to make this world feel grimy, dark, lived in, and just make this exciting night from April 22nd, 1972 feel so lived in that it carries on 50 years later.
yeah.
Ah, are you ready, comedy partner? Waka waka.
So, Tommy, Dog Day Afternoon Muppets. Who's the one question I have is who's the boyfriend becoming the girlfriend? Is it Gonzo?
I could see that. I could see Gonzo working right there.
Is that our trans
Um,
Muppet?
yeah, that's totally our train Muppet. Sam the Eagle is Charles Durning.
Yeah,
That's the immediate.
100%.
Yeah, 100% right there. Do you keep John Cazale? Just as the one human.
John Cazale losing his mind in the background. Puppets.
Yeah. If all these Muppets are just like, I can imagine like Muppets doing like slapstick hijinks in the bank
They're
and
like all
stuff
the
like
office
that.
workers are Muppets, and they're just doing like Muppety shit, just like causing chaos as it goes along, and him just like
Just rocking back and forth with the gun, just like
rocking
full
back
on
and forth with
buck-eyed.
the gun. Yeah, no, that would be quite entertaining, quite funny. But this would be a horrendous Muppets remake. Just terrible.
Yeah, no.
Just terrible. But the guessing of the cast is probably the funnest thing we can do with it. But all right, Tommy, review time. Give me a score out of 5.
All right, so this was a total banger. I think Sidney Lumet is fantastic. And if you want to check out more of his movies, we covered 2 of them, and both of them I loved. There's like really nothing I could think of that's like a fault of this movie. The performances are fantastic. It's a 2 hour movie that flows perfectly, and just like there's great humor, there's great drama, and there's even great little bit of suspense, and just the blocking is fantastic. I'm gonna go 5 out of 5. Love this movie. I can see why it's known and how esteem it is.
Pour myself a cognac, and I watch the 14 Fists of McCluskey. What a picture. What a picture. Good picture.
We haven't pressed that button in a while. 5
Since
out
like
of 5
Texas
for me.
Chainsaw.
What?
I think Texas Chainsaw was the last time we did that.
Yeah, it's been a year. Cody Tucker, shout out Cody Tucker was on that episode. But yeah, this is 5 out of 5 for me. Like the acting, the suspense, the drama is all there. It's everything you could want. Um, it makes you uneasy, it makes you curious, it makes you feel empathy. It just drags all these emotions out of you while you're watching it. And it's a fantastic director working with a terrific cast and just some all-time performances by great actors and actresses. 5 out of 5. We added another What a Picture award, which, funny enough, that is Al Pacino in that little clip right there. That is Al. That is our pal Al.
Yeah.
Doing it 40 some odd 44 years later in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. But fantastic episode, Tommy. Glad we covered this one. This one was terrific. Any final thoughts before we wrap up this episode?
So we forgot to mention that this movie is celebrating its 50th anniversary, which is why we're covering it. So After Hours last week was 40 years. This is 50 years. So we're also coming up with another banger for next week. And it is going to be There Will Be Blood. So actually, we're going to take a week off, then it'll be There Will Be Blood. But anyways, thank you guys so much for listening. You can follow us on social media. That's at CNETPod. That's on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky. We're also on podsy.bluesky.social. And leave us a 5-star review on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. Helps us out, helps us grow the show. And like I said, we're going to take next week off, but then we're coming back with a special guest to cover There Will Be Blood. We're doing 2 weeks off so I can watch this movie and really soak it in.
Yeah, I've literally told Tommy, I was like, yeah, this is one that you can't just watch and then come in and record. Like, this is one I need you to buckle in for, buddy. Buckle up, buckaroo. But thank you all so much for listening today. We will see you next time.